The subjunctive mood in Latin is used for actions that are either not true, unreal of a general circumstance, hypothetical, possible but not quite real, or hoped for, but may or may not come true. Latin utilizes the subjunctive in only very specific and easily classifiable uses. In this video, I will talk about how Latin uses the subjunctive and indicative moods in conditionals. These are if-then statements, and they can get somewhat complicated. First, a little bit of terminology. In Latin, we introduce conditions with si, if, or nisi, which is if not. There are also two parts of our conditional sentence, the condition and the conclusion. So here's a condition in English. If I praise my teacher, he will teach me well. The condition is the if I praise my teacher part of the sentence, and it also has a Greek name, the protasis, meaning the putting forward. The other part of the sentence is the conclusion, the he will teach me well clause. And this is the apodosis, literally the giving back. So we put forward the protasis and get back the apodosis. Okay, so as with most things in Latin, we can break down conditions into present, past, and future. And we can also divide conditions into real and unreal conditions. As you can probably predict, the conditions that are more likely to happen, or the ones that did happen, are going to have verbs in the indicative mood, and this is the mood that indicates facts and truths. And those that are less likely to happen, or ones that didn't happen, your hypothetical statements, are going to use verbs in the subjunctive mood, and this is the more hypothetical or unreal mood. Combining tense with mood gives us a matrix of 6 major types of conditions, and it's your job to learn these 6. Let's start off with the real conditions, the ones that use the indicative mood. These are instances where the condition, the if statement, either happened or is likely to happen. The present real condition is called the present simple fact because it shows a simple fact in present time, and we have present indicative verbs in both the condition and the conclusion. Si magistrum laudo me bene docet. If I praise my teacher, he teaches me well. This sentence has both verbs in the present indicative, and it shows a general circumstance in present time. We translate this, by the way, using regular present verbs in English. The past simple fact expresses a past event that likely did happen. It uses verbs in some past indicative tense. Si magistrum laudavi me bene docuit. If I praised my teacher, he taught me well. Laudavi and docuit are both perfect indicative, so it expresses some past real circumstance. Like when I was in high school, if I praise my teacher, he taught me well. And we translate it with regular past tense verbs in English. Now, we don't have a future simple fact simply because there are no facts in the future, just things that are more likely or less likely to happen. So this next one is the future more vivid, and it uses the future indicative in both clauses. Si magistrum laudabo me bene docebit. But here's where we get into a little bit of difficulty. English doesn't translate this like you would expect. And properly, we would say, if I praise my teacher, he will teach me well. So notice that the condition, the protasis, translates the verb into English like a present tense verb, while the conclusion, the apodosis, uses the future tense. But don't let English get in the way of understanding the Latin. This is a future action, and both clauses have future tense verbs. It's something that will very likely happen at some later point. The subjunctive conditions are the harder ones. The present unreal condition is called the present contrary to fact. This shows something that didn't happen, but if it did, then it gives its conclusion. So we use the imperfect subjunctive for both clauses, and keep that in mind. The present contrary to fact condition uses the imperfect subjunctive. Si magistrum laudarem me bene doceret. If I were praising my teacher, and I'm most likely I'm not, he would teach me well. Notice how we translate this into English. Even though this is a present condition, we still translate our imperfect subjunctive like an imperfect tense by the were praising, and our verb in the conclusion still uses the word would. This is how it will work for every present contrary to fact condition. If I were eating cheese right now, but I'm not, but if I were, then I would be full. If I were teaching you Greek, except I'm not, but that's beside the point, you would know the Greek alphabet by now. These are events that aren't true in present time, so the condition and conclusion are merely hypothetical. The past unreal condition is the past contrary to fact, and this shows something that most likely didn't happen. Here, both our verbs are in the pluperfect subjunctive. Si magistrum laudavissem, me bene docuisset. If I had praised my teacher, and I really didn't, but if I had, then he would have taught me well. Again, our English translation is important here. We say had praised, it is pluperfect after all, and our concluding verb is translated with a would have. Again, this is how it will work for every past contrary to fact. If I had eaten cheese, and I didn't, but really if I had then, I would have been full. Or if I had learned how to play checkers well, I would have been able to beat you. But I hadn't learned, so I wasn't. Our last condition is the future less vivid. Again, remember that there are no facts in the future. Here, both our verbs are in the present tense, because remember that the present subjunctive is the most future of all our subjunctive tenses. There is no future subjunctive. Si magistrum laudem, me bene doceat. If I should praise my teacher, and really I'm probably not going to, but if I should, then he would teach me well. Notice again our translation. The condition uses should, and the conclusion uses would. And because of this, the future less vivid is also known as the should-would condition. Wait, hold on. I know people call this a should-would condition, and that's an easy way to remember this one. But if I were to speak in normal colloquial English, I wouldn't say it like that. No, yeah, that's it. That's exactly how I would say it. If I were to speak in colloquial English, I wouldn't say it like that. So here, if I were to praise my teacher, he would teach me well. If I were to eat cheese, I would be full. It's perfectly fine and correct to translate this as were to whatever and would. So here are the 6 regular conditions. We organize them based on the real or unreal nature of the condition and also by time period. The key with conditions is recognizing the tense and mood of the verb, and this will tell you how to translate your verbs and what the sense of the sentence is. And you can mix up your conditions, like having an imperfect subjunctive mixed in with an imperfect indicative. But those are mixed conditions, and that's a subject for another video.